And hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Apologies in advance. I've got a bit of the gate on running the AC today. Really quite hot today, so it's hot in the studio. Apologies for the mic levels. Just waiting for some people to get in. How's everyone going today? Got my chat open this time so I can actually see everybody participating. Looks like we're still waiting on some people. Said they were going to show up. The reason we're going to wait is there's some specific questions asked on our thread. So I'm just going to hang about a bit. But I hope everybody's doing well. It's good to be back. It's been a while, hasn't it? Due to the coof. So we're back at it after a little bit of a break, trying to get back into things. I hope everyone is doing well. Especially here in Australia, and especially all my friends and people down in Melbourne. You guys have had it pretty rough, so my thoughts go out to you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. I really do. Anyways, yeah, it's been a year. What a year it's been. I cannot believe it. And it has been flying by for some of us. I can't believe it's already October, but it's absolutely crazy. But today, some positive notes. We're going to go into Melodyne 5 today. I bit the bullet and we're going to be going over some of the new features, some of the things I've discovered. Now, granted, this is all pretty much still new to me. I mean, it's I've spent probably 10 hours in it total just to get a little bit of feel around. And I've already discovered some things, a few bugs. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Got to talk with the team over at Melodyne, so hopefully can pass on some of that stuff to you. But yeah, it's I'm pretty happy with it, and once some of these bugs are worked out, it'll be even better. But already it's in my workflow, made things a bit faster, especially for these acapella projects that we're doing with the acapella collab project. So if you're just tuning in, like I said, just explaining what some of our agenda is today. I'm just pulling up the agenda real quick. I promised myself we were going to be a lot more organized and get through this a lot faster. I tend to drone on, so I just want to hit everything, answer. That way we can get to questions, get to some cool stuff. So yeah, we're just going to go over the Melodyne 5. As I said, we're going to then create a new song from scratch. We're working on a new project here with the Acapella Collab project, which all of y'all probably know about, but if not, we're going over Another Way to Die. It's a Jack White, Alicia Keys song from the James Bond film, Quantum Solace, I believe. So yeah, we've already had our singers, wonderful volunteers, submit all of their videos, and they've submitted their audio tracks, so we're going to be going through some of those now, because that's the stage we're at with the editing process. So what I like to do is just pull up some of those tracks. We can go through and learn some stuff together while I'm able to get some work done. Apologies to everyone about, again, just due to the coof. We've got some issues just getting, real work done, juggling that, family life, and trying to find time for this. So my apologies for getting this out. We generally like to do it every quarter, get one out, but we're a little bit late this time. But the team says hello. Just chatting with everyone not too long ago, and we're all doing okay. But yeah, we're hoping to get back into the swing of things, and hopefully not too much longer now. We're definitely making some progress. I know Alex is working on the videos, and Michael's going to be starting here pretty soon too. So we're all very, very excited. So again, going through that agenda. Stay on agenda, Matthew. We're going to create a new project within Melodyne. That way you can see how we're loading in. I don't think we did that last time. This is a very special song because we're doing this song. It is written in a simple time as well as a compound time. And because of that, we're going to get into subdivisions, and that changes, your BPMs and how the metronome basically tracks that, and making sure our grid is aligned to these complex time signatures. So yeah, we'll go through that. How to set up our compound and simple times, basically our subdivisions. Make sure our BPMs are running right. We'll import everything. We'll then start editing and go through some of the new editing features that Melodyne 5 has brought into make our lives a little bit easier, especially with vocals, sibilants, and how it responds in the algorithm to consonants. Go over some of those new tools, and then we'll just start going through and start editing, and you can see kind of the behind the scenes process. The goal that I do this is, the reason I do this is I really want people to see not only behind the scenes, like we're all learning together. We're all at different stages in our career and in our passions for acapella and creating acapella music. The whole idea of the Acapella Collab project was to take all of these people that I've met throughout my life, especially here in Australia, that we've gotten to know each other really, really well for acapella. And, we're super passionate about it, and everybody has these little bits of information. So I just wanted to, kind of culminate that, have an outlet that we could go to in a lot of the off periods between events and concerts, and especially now, not a lot going on. So it's just a way for us to get together and do some awesome songs and awesome projects with our voices, because that's what's awesome about acapella. And we get to do a myriad of different songs. Alex and Michael and I get to really shape what we want to do, what we think is going to be really popular with the team. Sometimes we're doing something complicated. Sometimes we're doing something that's a bit R&B-esque. It's really nice because we can kind of shape it how we want, but also get everybody involved, and everybody, I hope, has fun. So yeah, that's where we are at. Just doing a real quick check. I got my second monitor back now. Woohoo. So I can track everything going on and not have to do it on my phone with just the one screen. All right, just taking a look at the chat room and seeing who's all in. Got 3 people watching now. Cool. Hey, we're just going to go ahead and get started. As people pop in, they can, rewind, get back in, or watch us at a later time. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to switch over to our desktop session so you can see exactly what I'm looking at. And there we go. We've got Melodyne 5 already open. Like I said, I bit the bullet. I decided to upgrade to Melodyne 5. Really, I just wanted an improvement in my workflow. When we are doing the acapella project, we have over 50 tracks that we're trying to just tweak so everything's lined up. It's very difficult to get everybody with their different recording styles and their different skill levels to get everybody sounding nice and even. We don't like it to over auto-tune, as they say, but we do like to clean everything up so we have a nice sounding track. So that's why we use Melodyne 5 or Melodyne, and it just makes it easier on the mixing. We get it through that stage. As always, most importantly, organization is key when you're trying to work for efficiency. When we've got all these singers, it starts from the very beginning, naming your tracks properly, using the correct nomenclature to put everything in a good order. So when you need to find a track, because it does happen where a program will crash many a times, and you need to go back and find out where all that stuff is. And if it's just strewn about in one folder, it can be very difficult. You can get lost very quickly when you're dealing with hundreds of tracks. 50 tracks and all of your buses and just getting it all organized. If something goes down, it's really important to stay organized. So I like to split everything up into my stages, your milestones. So basically what I'll do is I will, I'll have my editing, so my recordings, get all the recordings in, then I'll have an editing folder. Everything's in that working folder for editing, and then I get it exported for Melodyne, bounce that out to Melodyne, and then I have a whole folder for just my Melodyne stuff. And then we go into the mixing and get that sent out. Now this time I send it to Michael's going to be doing the mixing on this song, so it'll get sent over to him. He uses it in his workflow. But the other reason you want good naming is not just for searchability, but when you import in tracks on a lot of these DAWs nowadays, I use FL Studio, but most DAWs, when you import those and drag and drop them in and get a new project started, you want everything to be nice and lined up and easy to find. So you want your all of your voice parts to be together. So I generally like to separate it by, at least with our tracks, separate it, by say keys or the guitars or the bass or the vocal percussion, the leads. So in my file names, I'm usually putting those first, then I'm underscoring and going to what part are they singing? Is it, is it tenors, altos, mezzos, all that. And then just go through, and that's the basic start. So get everything organized, nice and ready to go. And then once we've bounced that out to Melodyne, this is where we end up. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with this project, and I'm going to pull up the sheet music that you guys would all be aware of, so we can all take a look at it real quick, because we're going to need that. I'll go ahead and pull open the background. This is the background vocals, basically the keys, soprano. Oh, we're looking at that right now. So we've got, of course, this is the keys, and just want to take a look right up here, because what we're going to do to set up Melodyne to make it easy for us is we like to get I like to get the tempo and the structure of the song set up before I start importing tracks. What can happen a lot of times is once you import a track and you start messing with tempos, it can start stretching the track out, which you don't want. So I do everything first, get it all set up, all the bare bones, and then I start dropping in my tracks and start working with it. So as you can see here, we're working with different time signatures. We have a 12/8 that goes along through for about 5 measures, and more than 5. Sorry about that. Quite a bit more than 5. And yeah, I'm thinking 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before we go to a 6/8. But on the start of my tracks, always leave a measure silence, just so that's just something we do here. So we have a bit of buffer at the beginning. Usually it's a click to get everybody started. So it's not written here, but we also have a measure here. So we have 5 measures of 12/8. Then we go into one of 6/8 just to catch us up there. It's 12/8. Some more before we get into our simple time here of 4/4. Not going to get into the music theory of it too much. That's not what this is about. But basically, this is a subdivision. So we've got 12/8 into 4/4. Basically, the way the 12/8 feels it's 4/4 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and your 12/8 basically on the feel, even though you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 before it repeats. It feels like triplets. Basically, that's why you have that dotted your dotted crotchet here. I'm going to try to remember to use the Australian terms here. So Americans, 8th notes, 16th notes, we're so bland, aren't we? But 12/8 basically is going to be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And so that's how all this kind of feels here, is that beat is constantly going to be driving throughout this song, but we're counting it just slightly different. It basically makes it easier to read the rhythms, these notes here. It's just a lot easier to write them instead of having to write triplets all the time and things like that. That's generally why they do that. So your 12/8 is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and while your 4 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And okay, so we all know that. Don't have to get back into how to read music. It's not what we're here for. So how do we set that up in Melodyne 5? Because a lot of people have been asking me that question. I actually had that post come up on Facebook the other day, and they pointed to it. And so this is for you if you were asking for it. We're going to go through right now. Let's just take a look. Right now, we have 4/4 and 12/8 and a 6/8 to worry about. It does repeat towards the bottom. We go back to 12/8 time, boom, and it's counted straight. So you can also see this is swung. We have 71 beats per minute, or one crotchet equals 71, and a dog crotchet 71. So how do we figure that out in Melodyne? The first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to change my key signature. I know this is A minor. And then we have our beats per minute. So I'm just going to double click here just to start entering my beats per minute. I know it's 71. I'm just starting from that standpoint. It's in 4/4. The next thing I'm going to do is just kind of give myself a bit of a magnifying glass so we can see this track here. And I'm going to click on this down arrow right here, and it says we can edit tempo or assign tempo. We want to assign tempo. And you can see this graph represents the timeline. So we go along the timeline, each measure, and what is that tempo set at? So you can see we're at 71. So that's just between the 60 and 80 here. If I expand this down, it gets a bit bigger. You can see a higher resolution. So 71 beats per minute all the way down the line, which is good. But our track starts at 12/8. So let's go ahead and just do the first thing. So if you double click in this gray area right here, especially on this 4/4, we can change the number of beats per measure, and of course what note gets the beat. So we enter our 12/8. Now that is recalculated, so it's 12/8, 12/8, and if we zoom in, you can see that we've got 12 divisions here within our one measure. So that's one measure, 12 of those suckers. Cool. Good. So that's step one. Now step two is, all I know, and this is just something that I know off the back of my head, and we can get into some of the math of figuring this out. But basically I know that because these are subdivisions, even though we're counting, it feels like it's on every beat on that 1, 2, 3, 4. I know that the actual beat is being counted 3 times within that one, because it's a 1 and a 2 and so I know that I've got to basically multiply the 71 beats per minute and times it by 1.5. It's a ratio of 1.5. Luckily it does, which is 106.5, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. When you're setting up your DAW, that's kind of what you have to do. You don't always have these tools in your DAW. I think Logic does, but FL Studios, I'm a bit left out in the dust on that. It's not really tailored towards musicians, as far as like sheet written music and things like that. You can do it, but it's a bit of a pain. But it's 106.5. This is rounding up 107, so I know that number. You see that 3.2 there. Boom, subdivision. So it automatically sets it at 106.5. You can see it's rounding up 107, 106.5. So now it's clicky. It will click. If I turn on the metronome, it will click the right amount. So let's compare that to the 4/4, just so we can go back and see what the differences are. Dun, 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 dun. So that's all going to line up nicely with this song in particular. That's the way it feels, but we're writing it in 12/8. So hope that made sense to everyone. But how you change your time signature is right up in here, and your subdivision of what it's counting basically as what's getting that beat according to that metronome, and setting your grid properly so we can align things to the grid properly. It's 106.5 there. So now I'm just going to go through, and I know I have, according to our sheet music, just pulling that up real quick again. I know I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 measures before we go to 6/8. However, I have one extra measure I know on my tracks, because I always leave a measure of whatever time signature in before as a lead-in for everybody to record to. So I'm going to count 5 here, and this is how you add a change in key signature. So we're at 12/8. If we just left it, the whole song would be counting in 12/8. We double click right on that line, make sure we're on that line. Actually, I'm going to escape there, zoom in just a bit, so I make sure I am right on that line. Double click, and we go to 6/8 for our measure. Beautiful. So 6/8, it's counting the same speed, because it's, instead of 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, it's just 1 and a 2 and then it gets right into the 12/8 again. So go right to the next measure. Like 12/8. I'm just typing that in. Boom. So now we're counting exactly. That's the number of beats in that measure. Blah 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 blah. So we continue 12/8. I believe until measure 15. Technically 14 on the sheet music, but again, we always plus 1. Yep, so measure 14, we get into our 4/4. So I'm adding 1 to the measure, so that's 15. At 15, I'm going to double click, tell it 4/4. Sorry. So I'm going to have 4/4. All right, so I'm going to just show you what's going on here. Remember, we're still at 106.5 for our beats per minute calculation. So if I click here, let's just play from back. See what happens when we get to the 4/4. Too fast. If we overlaid those over the top, they would not mesh up. So what we do here is we double click on the bottom where we want to change the subdivision reading. And now we can select, 71 beats per minute, our original one. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, I'll start it back at the beginning. 1, 2, so now we're in alignment. The subdivisions are working. The song will continue without sounding weird. Bingo bango. Okay, so again, just to recap, changing, we go to our assign tempo. That opens up this lovely window. We can see that against the measures here. We've got 12/8 going to 6/8 back to 12/8, then a measure 14. It's 15 here because plus 1 at the beginning. We go into 4/4, and we're going to continue all the way down, back looking at our sheet music. Back at the score. We go back to straight 12/8 at K here, which was 64 plus 1 is going to be 65. So we find 65. Double click and change that back to 12/8. And remember, we need to do the subdivision. I'm going to make it purposely do something here. This is a Melodyne thing. So if you happen to be zoomed in right here and scrolled here, you can actually double click on this. So if you run into that, just move it out of the way a little bit. And then you'll be able to double click in this bottom row right here. There, great. Now we have a subdivision. Back up to the 106.5. Automatically increases the tempo so we maintain the same consistency. And everything reads nice and perfect. And that'll go out to the rest of the song. So I hope that was helpful for everyone. That's step one, what I wanted to do. A lot of people are asking that, especially with this song. I said, hey, take the opportunity to go through and set up our lovely metering. So I'm going to click that to get out of it. That's going to stay in the background. Now, the reason I did that before I put anything in is because generally when you put in a track without setting a tempo, Melodyne will take that and go, oh, you want me to figure out the tempo, which is really cool. If you want to take live tracks that aren't set to a click track, maybe it's a live session, or just the way everybody would usually do it back in the day, not work to a click track, and you still wanted to be able to align to it, you can drop in the track right in here, and it'll take its best guess at what that tempo is, and then you can go into the edit that tempo and move it around, and yeah, you can assign it just the same way we did, go into those windows and make some modifications. But the thing is that it's a variable beats per minute. It's not always good at guessing. You get some error in it. So I just like to set this at the start so we have no error. We're 100% aligned to the grid. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, let's go into a bit of editing and some of the new features with Melodyne 5. Granted, this isn't exhaustive. I've only been working with it 10 hours roughly. And I'm still learning some of the nuances, some of the new expediencies to help make our workflow better. And hopefully this all makes our workflow better. There's some really cool things. And that's why I pulled the trigger on this, because I was like, I think it's time to upgrade, because this is going to really make it a lot easier. One of the toughest things that I find, and this is just my opinion, one of the hardest things I have trouble working with in Melodyne is just lining up sibilants, lining up consonants. And especially when you're working on everybody singing a vocal line. It's not, it's not guitars, it's not bass, it's actual singers and people singing dua, dua, and chan, jada, and a lot of words. And it's really hard to get all those lined up, because that's what really makes the acapella sound, the track sound polished. This is why when your choir director is always yelling at you to make sure your S's and the starts of your words start the same, and everybody's saying the same S's. Because that's what really helps polish that piece up. It's not just about the notes you're singing. It's not just about the tonality and the intonation, and it's the cutoffs, the breath marks, everything. So I like to get all of those aligned with Melodyne, and you can do it in Melodyne 4. It was very, very good. But it could be a bit tedious lining up all those breath marks and where the S's ends. And sometimes you would change a note. You get those weird artifacts. You would change a note, and because Melodyne didn't understand what that consonant was or where the S sound was in that note, and it didn't divide it into its own little section, you move the note up and correct it, and then you get this weird artifact because the S sounds kind of funny because it didn't handle consonants or S sounds or sibilance issues. The sibilance wouldn't handle it. You'd get this weird artifact, and sometimes it would squeak, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So I was hoping Melodyne 5 would fix this, because that's what they've added. All right, stop rambling. Let's get to it. So every track we do, I generally like to have a demo track. This is how everyone learns a track. So by the way, if you haven't signed up to the Australian Acapella Collab project, go to acapellacollab.com. Go there. You can see our videos, but you can also sign up and join us for the next one. We'd love to have you. We have new faces and voices joining us every day. So we'd love to have you on the next project. Unfortunately, you missed this one, but you can see a little bit behind the scenes of what goes into it and how much work goes behind it, and why all of our volunteers and people who submit their lovely voices are so important to this project. Because without them, we'd have nothing. We wouldn't have anything to talk about. So if you haven't signed up, just right now, go to acapellacollab.com, sign up, and we'll get you in. Tell us your voice part, all that stuff. So you're going to hear a little bit of that. And what we generally send out is we send out a full demo track. So Alex, Michael, and myself will all sit down. We'll write this score, arrange it how we want. Sometimes we'll do it on our own and let it, do a round robin on it. Sometimes we work on it together and collaborate, make sure it's a good sounding piece that is going to be good for all the skill of our members. And we send it out. And we like to have a demo track out because not everybody reads sheet music. And, that's okay. We want to include everybody, and some people want to just be able to sing. Some people have really good talents and voices that we want to shine, and some people learn by singing by ear. So that's totally cool too. So we cater to that. So we'll send out the score, and we'll also send out the demo track that everyone can practice to. Plus, you got to be able to record to something. You're at home alone trying to record. We need a structure that everyone can kind of go against. That way, when we get all the tracks, we know they're basically going to line up, be in the same pitch, all that kind of stuff. So that's why we send out a demo track. So I'm going to load up this demo track in here so we can have a reference. Again, I always line this up to my one here. I think I just did that wrong. Didn't have it scrolled over. Take a listen. Music theory. Sorry, I just took a look at the comments. Thank you, Connor. Very much appreciated. Music theory with Matthew. I am no good music theory guy. That's for sure. I got out of that program pretty quick. I was like, well, this is over my head. There's people much smarter than I on that. All right. Yeah, I messed that up. Let me just double check the sheet music. I don't think I pulled it over far enough. Let's Control Z, shall we? Let's re-import. Back to the full demo. Yeah, do it on one. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Like I said, we're all learning together. Here's something I prepared earlier. Make sure we're lined up where we go to our 4/4. Oh, no, we are lined up. My bad. Just start on the 1. It was just throwing me off. That's one measure. Sorry, guys. I had a bit of a hiccup there. So let's go ahead and take a listen and see what we did with our Melodyne here and make sure the click track aligns to our song. Cool. So we just went to our 4/4. So I won't play the whole song, but I know we're lined up, so generally we'll give a listen through and just make sure everything's fine. Let's go to where this next section is and just make sure everything comes back. Yep. So we're nice and lined up to the sheet music. We know we're not going to get lost. Just remember to +1 and everything we are reading. All right, so let's go ahead and pull some people in. So we're gonna want a few. I've got the demo tracks split up as well from Alex and Michael and myself. So I'm gonna pull them in. I'm gonna use them as references. So what we created this demo track with that we sent everybody out with, I've got them individually in their own track. That way I can make sure everything's compared, directly compares to that track as best as possible. Sounds good. And without all the extra noises and when everything seems to be going on all at once, at least myself, I can get confused and just be like, oh, I didn't quite get that S because you're hearing the hi-hat or you're hearing all this other stuff. So just make it simple, and I put in the normal track. So I'm just going to import everybody right now. We're going to do the keys. So this is the key section, the alto, the soprano, and the tenors. And we're going to do them because I think they're going to work the best for this demonstration for some of the new things that have happened in Melodyne. I'm going in and also get my ugly mug out of here. Just going to go straight to desktop. That way we can have a bit more screen real estate and you can see everything going on, guys. Getting my windows set up. I like to be able to see everything just fine. And there we are there. Yes, there will be some control S's going on in the background so we don't lose it, definitely. We haven't gotten too far, but hey, let's go ahead and save that. Perfect. Actually, that brings up a really good point. Saving. One of the big improvements I had with Melodyne 5 is the speed. I believe they got rid of the 32-bit. Everything's 64-bit. Granted, I think the 4 was 64-bit anyways. You could have that option. But everything just works so much faster. They've definitely optimized how it runs in the background. All their little wizards got back there, and they definitely made it speedier. So saving, exporting, importing seems to be a bit snappier. So that is one of the improvements that I've noticed personally with Melodyne 5. So yeah, that's thanks for bringing that up. Save it in the background because it just reminded me of that. I had that on my list. Yep. Some of the other things. Look, this is the big thing. I think if I had to narrow it down as to one of the biggest changes in Melodyne is, again, as we were talking about, how it handles consonants and how it handles sibilants, and they've brought some new tools in, and of course they made a change to the algorithm. With our tracks here, we use the melodic, which is the standard algorithm. When you import them, it'll automatically analyze with that algorithm to know how to split up the track and all the different notes and read it. And I'm sure that one of the biggest differences you will notice here, I will go ahead and go into our lovely Alex's alto keys. And it doesn't look like it's imported anything. Interesting. What did I do? I apparently grabbed the wrong ones. So I'll just go ahead and delete those background tracks because there's nothing in them anyway. You can see that. We don't need them. We don't need them. Cool. So let's just go ahead and look at our soprano keys, and you're going to notice something here as soon as I start zooming in. You're going to notice that the sibilants are going to be picked up and treated differently. Let's go to a section where we actually have words. There we go.
It's just another way.
Nice. So you can see that this is one of the big changes and improvements that we have in Melodyne 5. The way it calculates our sibilants and consonants is now grouped with the note, and it's grouped there, stays attached, and identifies with these vertical lines that they're sibilants. So you can hear that here.
It's just another way. It's just
and now when I erase it,
it's just another way.
It doesn't really too much add any artifacts, it doesn't seem like. Granted, I've been playing around with it. I haven't tested it to its extremes, but it does seem to be working nicely. So that is one of the big changes that we can do. So instead of having to go into here and select like we used to, going, okay, that's sibilants, don't mess with that. Maybe just time that just a little bit. You know, we don't have to do that anymore. Now we've got, we can just move the whole thing and it's not going to add the artifacts. The other nice thing is because it has identified these sibilants, we have a new lovely tool. Right here you can see we have in our amplitude tool that we usually control for our amplitude, we also have a sibilant balance tool. So we're able to reduce just the sibilants, basically a manual de-esser here. So we can hear how hard the S is and balance it to the note versus the note. So if we just wanted sibilants, we could have that. Sibilants. So that's a cool new tool. That is located up here. Again, this is your amplitude tool, your fade tools at the end. I think they made a change to the fade tool as well, that it's a lot, oh yeah, that's a lot easier now to get a fade all the way across. It used to do it the way I was, to get a natural fade. I was always having to, I just want to fade in that bit, cut it here, and then you had to do all of your fades manually, grab in between the line, and after highlighting them all, it made a nice even fade. This time, looks like we've got our fade tool built right in here. That's cool. Hey, see, you learn right along with me. Bang. All right, let's take a listen with our fake de-esser just so we can hear what that did. Probably shouldn't call it fake de-esser. It is de-essing.
It's just another way.
That was weird.
It's just another.
Very extreme. Seems to be something to use very mildly.
It's just another way.
Double click on it, bring it back to normal.
It's just another way.
Yeah, really hits the ears.
It's just another way. It's just
all the way down.
It's just another way.
Too much. So let's just a little bit.
It's just another way.
So, granted, that being said, I'm just thinking about that. I don't know if I would want to do that to every note. I wonder what happens if we grab it. We grab it all, and we grab the whole thing. Does it just do the sibilants? Yeah, so I guess you could just select... You could probably just select all of the section that you're working on instead of each individual note and just pull it down a little bit, and you've just de-essed your whole entire track. That's kind of cool. I was going to say, because I really like my de-esser, because you get it banged in, and no matter what edits you make, it's already there. I'm using Slate, and they're all of their plugins. Really love Slate's plugins. They do a pretty good job. And yeah, their de-esser is just spectacular. All right. So there's something we learned there with the sibilants. Any questions, everybody? Yeah, good. Take a look back up there. Gonna keep going. Wait, because there's a delay. Never had dead air. No dead air. Okay, no questions so far. Good. Hope everyone's enjoying the stream so far. Again, we're not gonna try not to let this go as long as we normally do. I'm trying to keep this at an hour. We're not going to get through all of the editing. Really, I just wanted to show you these parts and how they relate to it. Let's get into something I did find that is a bug. Generally speaking, granted, I got my shortcuts here, so I'm just hitting my shortcuts. I've made my own custom shortcuts. If you guys don't know how to do that, you can go to your preferences, write your own shortcuts for your whatever you're trying to do. So I like to have my ASDF keys as just my quick. I may have to change those now that we've got that new tool. Well, it seems to work there. Cool. So when we click, we'll get a snap. You can highlight. There's two ways to kind of go about how you want to either retime or repitch these. And one, you can use their algorithms. This is a correct pitch algorithm. Pull up here. This will do a bulk. So whatever you've selected, you can select its pitch center. The more you pull it up to 100%, the more it'll align it to center. Now, one thing, again, this is something else that I read. I haven't experimented with it a lot, but apparently their algorithm is a lot better at understanding tonalities, pitch centers, vibratos, things like that. So it's going to place the note instead of directly in the center. It'll try to find what that timbre is of the note, and the algorithm's better at picking where that actual center of the note should be. So we're going to test that. Let you know if that is the case or not. It looks like I'm going up to 100%, and it is pretty much putting everything into the center, which is good. And then we can also have the ability to affect our pitch drift. Now, your pitch drift is that lovely, basically pulling it in. How far is it going to drift away from that center? There you go. So we can do that. Now, one thing you've probably noticed, I'm going to just Control Z. You can also do this by double clicking. And this is just the way I've learned, because I like to go in here and hunt and peck these notes. If I'm really trying to be quick, I'll just, go and Control A everything, Control A to select everything on this platform or on this track, and then I'll let the algorithm go. But because we're dealing with triplets, we're dealing with complicated time signatures, and quality of your recording can affect how good that's going to be picked up by the algorithm. I just find it saves me time going through each section a chunk at a time, not every note, but a chunk at a time, and just doing, all right, let's just double click that.
It's just enough.
That is not right. Yeah, that's what I thought. Put that up. We hold Alt because it's wanting to snap it to the key. This is an accidental here.
It's just another way.
Cool. So that works as intended. That works as we've always known in Melodyne 4 to double click and snap whatever tool you're using. Again, that could be the amplitude tool. If you double click it, it's going to make it all the way off. Completely zero, null. Double click it, brings it back to normal. Same with your your modulation tool here, double click it, it's going to make it robotic.
It's just another way.
And so you can double click to do that, double click to go back to the original state. Again, time. This is the issue that I found. Time. Let me know in the comments if you guys had this issue as well. Although I know after talking to Melodyne that this is happening. Double clicking and it snaps to grid, which is good. That's what we want. But I found out. Let's see if it does it again. It's going to be funny if this makes a liar of me. I'm going to go to our window, or options, sorry, time grid. And because in this 4/4 section, we're in, it's swung, I'm going to make sure that we are 116T. Yep. So it's basically triplets. When that is working correctly, no, it didn't do it there. Yeah, it's snapping correctly there. Dot, dot, dot. So that's down. Yeah. So there is a bug, and I contacted Melodyne, and they said that their dev team is aware of it. So if you're having this issue, don't feel bad. I'm just glad that it repeated itself. That's good, cool. I'm just going to Control Z to get back. So I reached it to Melodyne, their wonderful customer service, got back to me really quick. I said, hey, look, when I double click on this, it's not snapping to the assigned time grid. Am I doing something wrong? Have you changed something? Melodyne 5. And they basically said, oh, let us look into it. They got with their dev team. The dev team got back and said, something we know about. Very, very sorry about that. They gave me all assurances that they are working on it and it will be corrected. So it is a bug. If anybody's having that issue, that is what's going on. I'm a bit disappointed. I'm not disappointed in them. I mean, it happens. You're working on this type of software. These things happen. We understand with new revisions. By the way, just to let you know, I am running revision. So anybody's watching this in the future, this is specifically, the build is 5.0.2.003. So that is specifically the revision I'm on. It could be corrected in any updates you have looking at it in the future, but live right now, that's what we have. And it is a bug. It's not working. It's not snapping. It's snapping to the straight time. It will not snap to the triplets that we are setting as in our time grid. So if you're having that issue, there you go. Hope that helps some people out so you're not going crazy. There's not a hidden thing that at least I know of. That's going to make it a bit more difficult for me. The whole reason of upgrading to 5 was to be a lot more efficient with it. And there's a lot of expediency in some other stuff, so I'm hoping, like, it's just kind of cancels each other out at this point. But it's going to be interesting to have to get used to a new way of doing it and not ruining the time, because I'm just going to want to select it and go bam, and oh, why isn't that moving? Now granted, I could just hold Alt, move that over. I know it's aligned visually. It's going to be fine.
It's just another way.
Yeah, this is going to be tedious.
It's just another way.
There we go. So those two notes, it's not lining up perfectly. Granted, that's probably not their fault. That's my fault.
Another way.
Cool. So what you're going to have to do, guys, is you're just going to have to select and go up to your algorithm. Sorry. Talked about the pitch algorithm. There's also a time algorithm here. Set it to 1/16 that way. That hopefully will stay that way. Make the intensity. Does it stay that way? Let's learn that. No, it goes back to auto. So just click on, yep. I'm on my swing rhythm. Or if I'm in my 12/8 section, it's straight. Just make sure that we're doing the straight, not the tripleted. Cool. So I hope that helps some people. Let's take a look at our agenda and make sure we haven't forgot anything. We've gone through our editing features. So those the new ones, basically the new tools that I was aware of, is our new, of course, fade tool. Oh, that's so cool. I wonder what cool things we could do with this.
It's just another way.
Oh man, I could see some cool experimental things with this now.
It's just another way.
Cool. Let's do this one.
It's just another way.
That's really cool. The fade tool. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. And the sibilant tool. I wonder what we do. Let's go all the way the other way and hear what we let's listen to consonants.
It's just
setting up a loop here.
It's just
And let's go the other way.
It's just another way. It's just another way. It's just another way. It's just another way.
That's cool. It's not as hitting me as hard there. A bit more going through a better preamp.
It's just another.
Cool. So that's going to be a nice little tool for you guys if you're looking at upgrading. Sibilant balance tool right there. What other new time tools? Yeah, looks the same. Note separator, our amplitude tool, the fade tool, that's huge. Sibilant balance tool and formant, pitch modulation. Yeah. So I watched their videos, of course, getting into it, and they talked about how this is all going to be making voices. But I think they've done a lot of work behind the scenes, how the algorithm works. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that we see through here. All right. What time are we looking at? Well, we got through everything we needed to get through. We've got 10 minutes left. Let's go ahead and go through an editing session along with this these new things that I've just learned through here. We're going to have to change my workflow just a bit, so apologies. But let's go ahead and listen to our background track with this. Mute everything else, and we will work on this soprano track. Right. Let's just get that in line. So we seem to have elongated one. I know Alex wanted these a bit more staccatoed, so we are going to just shorten that up. It's a bit long. It's of course not on time. Is that in time? Great. Go back to our sheet music, because you always want to go back to that. Yep, that's what I figured. I need to be in 1/16. There we go. Now we're on the right time. Yep. Count it up. I'm just going to go to my amplitude, and I like to take out these beginning chunks. It saves me work the DAW, like automating it and putting gates on it and things like that. So we have absolute silence. Twelve eighths right on. We set that up earlier. So just a little bit out of tune. That's okay. It's a high note. So we're just gonna fix that. I'm just putting it on loop here. So this is how, if you just want to, it'll repeat it, so you don't have to keep pressing spacebar. Nice. Context, pulling the volume up. Now you can go through this a lot quicker, but I just really want polishing it up for you guys, just so you can hear the differences as we make these changes. Now her vibrato got really fast here. So if you noticed, I took the end of this because I want the cutoff to be directly on 15. I pulled it all back using my Alt key, holding Alt key. I didn't align to the grid, doesn't snap, I mean. So that comes back. Now, what have we effectively done with this vibrato? You can see the waveform there of that vibrato going up and down in pitch. If I elongate that, you can actually hear that vibrato that's going along that center pitch drift, which is okay. We're going to through that center because vibrato is what the human voice does. That's cool. Right at the end of that, you can actually hear that going up and down just along that center. So if we pull it back, that elongated it out over time. If we go, oh, we want this note to end right there, what happens? That vibrato is unnaturally fast. We're not Freddie Mercury here, who has a super fast vibrato. So it sounds a bit weird to the ear when you start adding them all up. We can even make it more pronounced. So you heard that go really, really fast. So what I do, let's go back to the original. I cut it off. So if you've got a note you need to shorten the beginning bit where there's not a lot of pitch modulation, where there's not a lot of change happening. So go ahead and take your select tool. So I'm using the note separation tool. So Melodyne automatically uses its algorithm to separate each note, but you can manually put one in, or you can manually take one out. Manually put one in or take one out. I've separated that change between those notes, centered them, and now I am going to move this whole thing back. So I've selected this one and the trailing here so it doesn't get stretched. And just that beginning bit, and now we can line that up and it should keep the vibrato nice and normal, what she's saying. Oh, so much more natural sounding. So there's a little tip if anybody's wanting to do that, because the quick and dirty way is, yep, okay, boom. And the more time we take to make these little bits nice, the more natural it'll sound, because we're not trying for an unnatural sound. Another way to die. Another way to die. Yep, so now we're back into 4/4, and this is swung. So now we're going to have to change our methodology here. So I'm going to, I believe it's supposed to be an accidental. Another way to die. Another way to die. How's it sound? Another way to die. Cool. And now, going back to our time grid, make sure we are in. Another way to die. See how that ruined that when I double click that? Oh, drive me bonkers this. Let's go 75. Another way to die. Nice. Stayed in the groove, didn't make it too extreme. Another way to die. She's ending with Alex that I can hear in the background. Cool, next one. It's just another way. It's just another way. Cool, so this will be the last one we do. Again, go back to our, we're swung. Intensity doesn't need to be bad. The nice thing about the algorithm doing it this way is you can go, oh, what am I actually moving? Yeah, that looks about right. Nothing too crazy. It's going to sound good. It's just another way. Yep, so we got another vibrato thing going on. It's just another way. Cool. Make these notes nice and good. Accidental, so I have to manually put that there. It's just another way. It's just another way. Cool. Quick edit there. Kind of hide that. Just blending them. Cool. Well, I hope everybody learned a bit something about Melodyne 5. We did just go over this, just an hour on it, covering some of the new features of Melodyne 5. Sorry for taking a bit long and rambling on, but I think we covered all of our objectives, going through our odd time signatures, working with subdivisions, how to set up our compound and simple times in here, the 4/4, the 12/8, the 6/8, specifically for this song. But I hope that gave some insight on where we could go into our edit tempo, make sure we have everything nice and perfect when we drop in our tracks, so it makes for nice and easy editing as we go through. So thank you everyone for joining me. Appreciate everybody that's been chatting and supporting us through the channel and through our Facebook group, and also acappellacollab.com. Go in there, sign up. We've had heaps of people sign up. Super thrilled with just the last year that we have been doing this. I think we have 120 people that are participating and working with us, and we just couldn't be more thrilled. I never thought we'd have that many people, and we just want to keep it growing. So go ahead and let everybody know, any friends, especially at this time now. The joy of singing. I love singing so much. I know a lot of you guys do too. I know a lot of people are doing virtual choirs now. That's a thing. I've been working on a lot of virtual choirs in the studio. People wanted to do this type of thing. This isn't something we invented, definitely not. But it's just something so fun, and I think we do a really cool, unique way of arranging and getting people involved through all different skill levels. So if you guys want to participate in our next song, acappellacollab.com. Don't forget to click and subscribe to the channel, guys. We're trying to build up our channels, and the way the algorithm, you got to feed the algorithm with YouTube, and the more people like, comment, and subscribe, if you do all three of those things for me, guys, it's going to help grow the channel. It's going to get more people involved and make the channel that much better. So again, from the bottom of my heart, guys, I thank you very, very much. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble, and I hope you guys learned something. Go ahead and put it in the comments after this. If you haven't caught the live stream, I'll read all the comments. I'll try to answer the best I can. Any questions you have. If not, I've got a lot of mates who are a lot smarter than me, and we can talk through it and hopefully get some things figured out for you guys. So love to see you guys on the next round. Stay tuned, because we're going to have Project 4, Another Way to Die, coming out very shortly. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know how you're doing. I hope you guys are doing good.